Call the meeting to order. Can I have a mover and a seconder to open the meeting? Councillor Loftus, Councillor Lachance.
Moved by Councillor Loftus and seconded by Councillor Lachance. Be it resolved that Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles hereby opens the Committee of the Whole at 6 p.m. on April 1, 2026.
All those in favor? Carried. All of council is present today. We would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Robinson Huron Treaty Territory, and the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Atikameksheng Anishinaabe. We also wish to recognize our neighboring community of Doki's First Nation. While we meet today, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands we each call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous people and their culture. Can I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda? Councillor Poitier, Councillor Framboise.
Moved by Councillor Poitier and seconded by Councillor Laframboise. Be it resolved that the agenda for the Committee of the Whole held April 1, 2026 be adopted as presented.
All those in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. Councillor Framboise.
None, Your Worship.
Councillor Loftus.
None, Your Worship.
Councillor Poitier.
None, Your Worship.
Councillor Lachance.
None, Your Worship.
And none for myself. Any announcements from council? No? Okay. First item on the agenda, item 3.1, KPMG audit. Presentation today by Tiffany Shikado. Was that okay?
That was great. That was
Thank
great.
you very much.
Okay. All right. So I believe in your package, everybody has a copy. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of go through the audit considerations at a high level, and then we'll spend some time diving in the numbers. But before I start, I just want to give a huge thank you to really everybody, to Tammy and Denis at first, to trying to go through all of our audit samples. For Pam, she was back and wrapped up that audit in a heartbeat. So I think you should know, I know it was a really tough time, but your team all did just, dive in to help get everything done. So nice to be able to be here today to go through the results. So in summing up the audit, we're completely finalized. Pam sent the final letter that we needed for our audit file today. So pending council's approval of the statements, we'll be in a position to issue everything today. From the perspective of the audit, there was one new accounting standard that needed to be adopted in the year end that we're speaking about. It had to do with revenues that are other than government grants and taxation. So think of this as any fees or user charges, things like that the municipality would be charging. The standard kind of said, oh, hey, wait a minute, if you have to do anything, like municipal employees have to go and actually complete any work to be able to earn that revenue, you should be recognizing the revenue over the period of time for which they perform those services. So think of it as matching the effort that is expended by your town resources to the revenue that you get in. So this new standard basically meant that there was some new note disclosures in the statements referring to performance obligations, but there was not a material change to your current year results as a result of the adoption of the standard. Note 2 just does give a little explanation of the new standards that were applicable. The other standards relate to things that the municipality doesn't have, so public-private partnerships. So that would be if you went into an agreement with a third party for certain services, capital items that maybe you don't pay for, and it's very complex transactions that we don't see here. And if you had intangibles, which you don't. So intangibles would be things that you buy that are not physical, they just are somewhere out there. They have a value, but they don't have a tangible value. You don't have any of those items on your results, so at least the standard adoption was a bit easier than the prior year when the ARO came into effect. In terms of the audit, there was no control deficiencies that was identified. There were no results of any of the risk procedures that we did that we needed to let everybody know about. Materiality was very much in line with what it would have been calculated at in the prior year, because your operating budget does remain pretty constant on a year-over-year basis. And so the only other thing just to note is, there's some new standards this year for independence. So we do have to always declare that we're independents to be able to do the audit work. So a good example would be, if somebody were to call and say, listen, we have somebody off on leave for a few months, can you come in and fill the role? We would have to say, no, we can't, because then we would be auditing our own work. So in this scenario, we do the audit, that's what we do, so we're able to say that we're independent to be able to complete the work. So if you're looking at the actual financial statements, the first few pages, of course, is the independent auditor's report. So we're proposing to issue an unqualified or clean audit opinion, indicating the statements are prepared in accordance with the public sector accounting standards, which are the applicable standards for any municipal organization in Canada. The audit report will be dated as of today's date. So of course, do remember, this is a bit of an anomaly. This is the 2024 year end. So we do actually, as auditors, have an ongoing responsibility to look at all of the results of kind of council meetings, things that have occurred from January 1st of 2025 to today, to be able to issue the audit opinion to say, you know what, nothing happened in the last year. Council didn't make a decision to amalgamate with another municipality or to stop offering services, or nothing material happened that would be required to be disclosed in the standards, because we as auditors have a responsibility up to today's date to make sure that everything in here is accurate and appropriate when we're issuing the financial statements. So we would have had some discussions, just to make sure that all is okay. We didn't need to add any subsequent event notes or anything like that. So I just wanted to let everybody know the significance of today's date means we're kind of on the clock until today to make sure that everything remains true and appropriate for these numbers as of this point in time. So I think in your presentation, you would see the consolidated statement of financial position. So if you're following along in the one that has a lot of writing in it, I believe it's on page 27 in the PDF. It's a little number 27 down on the right-hand side of the page. So it should look like this: financial assets, financial liabilities. Everybody see that?
Yep.
In the draft.
Yeah, in the nice colorful one that starts with this page, it should be page 27 in that document.
Are we good?
Good? Okay. All right. So this will just be, you've heard me say this before, but want to remind everybody. So in the municipal world today, we have this set of financial statements that don't have a balanced assets and liabilities. We have this statement that gets you to your accumulated surplus. And so your accumulated surplus is the combination of your reserves and your investment that you've made in capital. You'll always remember the middle of the page, that is your net financial assets. You've heard me say before, what that number is if you settled every one of your obligations as of December 31st of 2024, you'd still have $2.12 million left over to do all the things that you would need to do as a municipality. Very strong financial position to find yourself in. In fact, most municipalities now are very much in a net debt situation, because in order to invest in capital, there's few reserves and they've had to take on additional municipal debt. As soon as you need to take on a whole bunch of debt to fund your capital, because the debt sits in this section and the capital sits in this section, you can very quickly get yourself into a net debt situation. So if you were to go and have a look at, some of the larger municipalities in this area, you definitely see that type of a situation. So the fact that you continue to have reserves to be able to utilize is a very good financial position to be in. You can see that your cash balance is up just a bit, just under $4 million as of the end of the year. So you did have cash flow from operating activities of about 1.4 million. Now you did use the majority of that cash to fund your capital asset purchases in the year. There was about $990,000, give or take, at this point in time. So that you're seeing that cash flow for the most part used up for that, a little bit left over at the end of the year. Your taxes receivable is up just a bit, not up by a lot, about $10,000 or so. We'll talk a little bit in a second about what that looks like as a percentage of your tax levy. And then your accounts receivable. So you'll probably remember over the last number of years, you've had a lot of one-time grants. You've had a lot of ongoing capital projects for things like your splash pad, where you've had to incur the costs and then you've filed claims in order to get those costs repaid through the grants. So that's why you had a fairly large receivable balance at the end of 2023. Prior year grants for capital was about 282,000 of that 525,000. When you look at the end of the current year, you don't have those one-time large capital grants that are outstanding. You have some HST receivable and some smaller amounts, just regular receivables that are owing. On the next page of the presentation, page 28, this is where we just take a little look at the taxes receivable as a percentage of your levy. I think you'll all remember just in the prior years, you did have that really big allowance because it was the confusion of the arena, right? And so that's why 2023 looks a bit different, because what we wanted to make sure is that those taxes that were charged were all allowed for, because you knew you weren't going to collect them. Have everything all kind of rectified in 2024, so no need to have that. You can see that your taxes receivable as a percentage of your levy is down. Again, anything under 10%, very, very good collection of your receivables when you compare to other similar sized municipalities in Northern Ontario. Most seem to be very much over 10, closer to 15, so very good position to be in. On to the next page, page 29. So that's all your financial liabilities. So you can see a slight increase in total. Your accounts payable has increased, just amounts owing to suppliers as of the year-end date, increased payroll accruals. Your deferred revenue, you'll remember those are funds that have been received in cash as of the year-end date but are not yet spent. So things like OSIF and NORDS. The funding would have been received and you have it in your bank account, and then you needed to use it in the subsequent year for eligible capital projects. So you can see there was a slight increase there because there was some additional carryovers for OSIF and NORDS. Those are reported back to the funders to make sure they're aware of what you have left over so that you'll use them in the subsequent year. Deferred revenue obligatory reserve, that's your gas tax dollars. Gas tax dollars as well need to be reported to the funder what's not spent. They're always eligible for carryover, but you can see that you did use a bit of those funds towards your capital projects in the 2024 year end because that balance went down. Municipal debt, there has been no new debt that has been taken on in the 2024 year end. You made principal repayments, so that causes that balance to decrease. And then your asset retirement obligation, that is up because there was just some changes in some of the costs and some of the assumptions that are utilized. So these are amounts that are going to be paid very, very long into the future whenever your landfill is, so you have two costs for your landfills. So one is a bit more imminent in terms of when you're going to be doing those monitoring costs, and then one's a bit more down the line. You have to inflationary adjust those costs every year, and then a bit of a discounting of those cash flows to bring them back to today's dollars as well. The big change you'll remember from the prior year is that this no longer goes through your expenses. So it actually is all on this sheet page that you're looking at. you increase your liability and you increase your tangible capital assets. As you use the landfill, you're going to amortize those amounts, and as you get closer to closure of your landfills, you'll start to reduce the liability for the monitoring and closure costs that you've been spending. Then on to your non-financial assets, you can see you did have a pretty significant investment in your capital assets in the year. So that was primarily as a result of the fire truck purchase in 2024, other road work, culverts, and then just some other miscellaneous capital additions as well that rounded out what you had spent in the year. So if we flip over a few pages it would be page 32 on the PDF that you might be following in. So you can see these are all of your transactions from January 1st of 2024 to December 31st. So all of your revenues earned and all of your expenses incurred. So your total revenue is up about $447,000 or about 9% in the year. I think, everybody would be aware your taxation revenue does tend to increase every year as a result of any of your increases in your taxation rates noted in your budget. Government grants, though, is, I would say, a bit of a mixed bag. It is one number, but it can be a whole combination of a lot of increases and decreases, and that is what happened in the current year. So in 2023, you would have had prior year additional funding for the community center through FedNor. There would have been some additional money from the Ministry of Transportation for the community transportation program as well, and you did bring in additional NORDS funding in 2023 because you need to match your revenue with your expenses, so more spending equated to more revenue. So those are all the decreases when you compare to the prior year. The offset to that was you did get some government grants for your asset management expenditures, and you did take in additional federal gas tax dollars because you did spend on eligible capital projects, which means you're allowed to bring in more of that revenue in the year. So you had a bunch of decreases for all of those one-time amounts that you had for, say, Splash Pad Community Center. Offset that with your asset management grant and then some additional gas tax dollars. Your user charges and donations, those are up a little bit. There's just some increased sewer user charges for the most part, increased arena rental revenue as well noted in the 2024 year end. And then finally your other, that primarily includes your expenditure recoveries that you record. So when you are able to charge back your various expenses to other organizations. The other thing to note is you have almost $4 million in the bank account. Rates were pretty good in 2024. You generated a lot of interest income as well on that balance. So that's another reason why the balance is up in 2024. On to the expenses side of things, so you can see that your total expenses are up to about $4.6 million, so similar to what your revenue is up by, about 10%. Your general government expenses were down because your prior year did have additional costs relating to the senior transportation program. So you heard me say just on the last page, your grants are down, but correspondingly your expenses were down for that program as well. So they work hand in hand together. There also was a decrease in your overall payroll related costs noted in the year as well. Protection to persons and property, that is up, and that's mainly because you've been investing a lot in your capital over the last number of years. You invest in capital, you have higher amortization expense, so you're seeing that trend there, and some additional costs relating to the Sudbury East building and bylaw services. Transportation services are up as well, so a bit of engineering design costs that were not capital, that were expensed in 2024, and then same idea, you've done a lot of road work over the last number of years, that translates to additional amortization expense on those additions. Environmental services is up, just some additional costs relating to recycling and maintenance noted in the year, causing that increase. Your health services is up just a little bit. Definitely the levies from both the health unit and the DSAB were up in 2024. So that's where you're seeing health services, and then your social and family services, both of those lines would be up in the year. Recreation and cultural services is down a bit. There was some additional, I would say, more one-time or startup costs in 2023 relating to the splash pad, and those were not repeating in 2024. So all in all, a pretty strong financial year. Just want to take everybody through always a reminder of the reconciliation of the surplus. So that is on page 36 of the presentation. So you'll notice, and I think this was actually one of the first years you probably have seen the number being in a bit of a negative position. So we start at the 670,000 that's on the statement. So that's your surplus. And then what we do is we strip out any of the transactions relating to capital. And I just want to remind everybody that on a net basis, when you back out your amortization, still spent about $1 million in capital transactions in the year. So as a result, those needed to come from somewhere. You didn't have grants for all of that. You had to use some of your surplus dollars that you would have had in the year. You had to repay your debt. We had the adjustments for your asset retirement obligations, and you did transfer $223,000 off to your reserves at the end of the year. So that did leave you in a bit of we'll call it an operating deficit in the year. I don't think I did the snippet in it, but if you look at note 11, if you do have the copy of the financial statements, I did just want to remind everybody that you have reserves, and your reserves are in the neighborhood of $2.35 million. But historically, you've also had last year you had about $1.4 million in just general surplus dollars. So that means that since the inception of the municipality, you've accumulated $1.4 million of general surplus dollars that have not been allocated across to reserve. And that can happen for any number of reasons. Perhaps at one point a number of years ago, you didn't choose to move all of the amounts to reserve or something like that. But I do want to highlight to everybody that, yes, we are talking about an operating deficit of $198,000, but you still have $1.15 million of general surplus dollars in the bank. And then your additional 2.35 of reserves that have been set aside. So, I'm not saying that you want to have a whole bunch of years in a row where you have your operating deficit that has been noted, but in a year where you've spent $1 million in capital, this is not a bad situation to find yourself in as well. You're still in a net financial asset situation. You didn't take on debt to fund this. You were able to do it internally. So just it's I see a lot of financial statements, and this one I would say I would be proud to be saying is the one that I'm attaching my name to for sure for all of you. And that's it from me, but I'll take any questions that anybody would have.
All right, thank you
Yeah.
very much. Any questions?
No, for myself. Thanks for the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Loftus, any questions?
Yeah, thank you for the great presentation, and to our staff, the appreciation, because they do a great job for the municipality.
Yeah.
Councillor Whitson.
No questions. Thank you again as well. Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you, everybody.
Councillor Lachance.
Well, thanks for your presentation. I hope next year you're just as proud of us.
Yeah, thank you. We will be. We've taken on quite a bit more there for the just past year, so, and I think it'll be following us for a little bit of time. However, we're told everything will be handled, and we have no risk, no problem. So, but thank you very
Of
much
course.
for the presentation.
Of course.
All right,
No.
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Do we need the ones that don't say draft when we're passing it?
I don't. it doesn't matter. They're identical. I have them in my email right now. I can send them to you when I get home
Okay.
if that works, so that you'll feel comfortable and have them there. Yeah, that works.
Please.
Okay, yeah, I will do that as soon as I get
Thank
home.
you.
Awesome. Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
Thanks a lot
everyone.
for the host.
Oh, okay, good to know. All right. Okay.
All right,
Sleep
bye.
in my notes, but if you
All right, moving on, staff reports, 4.11, report to council, SEBS. Andrea, so, go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. So this report is being brought forward through, for myself as chief building official, basically as a support tool for projects going forward within all 4 municipalities. So I'm presenting it to each municipality separately. So RSM Building Consultants is a company that has been created to help support building departments in more complex building applications, and also to help with training as well. I'll just read a little bit of the background. Because the building department is beginning to receive more complex applications, or really is always the possibility of getting more complex applications, including large buildings, complex buildings. There are new parts of the building code for larger farm buildings. And these can include things like retirement homes, building new municipal buildings, OPP stations. There are always these possible large projects coming through that our building department doesn't have a lot of experience with. So in reaching out for help and looking to other CBOs, this company came up as a solution to help sort of fill in the gaps of training and also to support building departments. It's an Ontario-based firm specializing in municipal building department services with a track record of professional, timely, and compliant support. It's essentially like having a building department that I can access for specialty, for more in-depth experience. The reason I found out about it was reaching out to the CBO in North Bay. So our larger cities are using this as a tool as well to help with plans review, to help with training through inspection, and to help with mentoring of staff. So not only is there a potential for more complex applications that could be coming to the building department that we don't have experience with, we're also looking at taking over septic approvals within the next potential year, couple of years is what we're hearing. So having this group to be able to access for help with training will even help with that transition as well. So I'm not sure if everyone's had a chance to look through the agreement, but some of the major advantages to this agreement that I see is that there is no retainer. We're not paying to keep this service on call. We would only be paying it on a per project basis or when we actually feel like we would need it. So the way I see it as chief building official is if we had a larger, more complex application come in, it would most likely come in with a building permit fee that would help to cover any costs that we would incur if we used RSM to help with plans review or inspection. And if I wanted to use it instead as a training tool, well then that cost would come out of training budgets that are already planned throughout the year. So I don't see this as costing anything extra, but I do see it as a tool to help me feel more confident as a chief building official as well, to know that we can take on any project that comes our way with guaranteed help and not asking other municipalities for help. I want to have that help there guaranteed for us so that we're ready for anything that comes our way. So I see it as a tool for our building department, especially as we're growing and especially as the area is growing. So I do recommend that council review it, but that they support the idea of entering into a 2-year agreement with RSM. And I'll open up to any questions right now that council might have.
All right, any questions, Councilor Framboise?
As you mentioned, it's going to be like an agreement between all municipalities. I'm just wondering if, if the cost, if one municipality is using it more, will it be the one municipality paying extra for it, or is it gonna be separated between all of them? Like, is it the one?
Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. That is a good question. I'll clarify. It's an individual agreement between each municipality and RSM. So if I'm using the service for a St. Charles project, it would be funded under that particular project. If I'm using them, though, as a training tool, then that would be funded under our already shared service agreement.
I'm just
So,
wondering, like, the septic, right? So if we're looking at for septic, obviously it's gonna be used throughout all 3 municipalities, or?
yes, so that's where I could see it being more training cost. So if I, if I had plans review done for a septic system, and then got those notes back, I suppose that if it was for a particularly interesting septic approval in a particular municipality, the cost of that building permit would be specific to cover that. But if it was generally like, I have questions about how to inspect, or what to do in the field, that I would charge under training. So that would be a shared cost to everyone. So it would be up to, I guess, my discretion based on whether I felt like it was a more specific municipal cost for a specific project, or if it was something that was benefiting everyone.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. Councillor Altus?
No, I think it's a great tool. It would be a great tool for the building inspector to have. And, you know, especially when if you have a question, you can call them anytime and talk to them.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that it's individual based, like you say, if it's a project for St. Charles, we get billed, and then the training is shared amongst all 4 communities, so that's great.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Poitier?
No, it's obviously it's another tool in a tool belt. I'm looking at some of the fees and like I don't know how this was being done in the past. So obviously a lot of these, like so in Schedule B, I guess, these fees are offloaded to the applicant of the like the application, right? Like whoever is filing the application and requesting examination services or stuff like that, they'd be the ones who would be carrying this cost, right?
Yep.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll clarify again. So no, it wouldn't be in addition to our building permit fees. So something like if we were looking to build a retirement home, most likely the building permit fee would be $10 per $1,000 of construction for that retirement home, which I can only imagine would be probably close to $1 million plus. So we would be retaining quite a large building permit fee for some of these more complex projects. So I think that the value that we would receive in whatever we would pay for in plans review to make sure that we had a very solid plan going forward, I think it would be a good investment in that larger building permit fee. There may be times where a more complex project comes in that wouldn't have necessarily a greater value. But again, if I felt like it was going to benefit the project because I don't have the experience and I felt like I needed it, I'd have to justify it through the project. So I'm trying to be as open as possible. I don't feel like this is going to be a cost, but we would be incurring the cost, but hopefully would be covered by the building permit fees.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Councillor Deschamps?
I think it seems like a good resource, or like Councillor said, a tool to have in our back pocket. I think as long as most of the costs are billable in some way, shape, or form, I don't think it's an issue. I do feel though, however, if it's a cost that's not going to be billable, like the example you just gave for like if we were doing a retirement home or such, that there would have to still be approvals from council to go ahead with the service, because if you're tying a $100,000 bill to this to the municipality to help you do your job, and not help you do your job, to reach out for consultation or whatever you want to call it, for assistance, we still need to go for council approval for that. It could get expensive.
Yep.
May I clarify? So no, the $100,000 fee would be the building permit. Like if it was $1 million project, we would be taking on that $10 per $1,000 of construction, which would be the building permit fee that we would be taking in. If you do a calculation on what a Part 3 building would cost for review, it would be a small portion of the building permit fee that we would already be taking in for our review.
Sorry.
Sure.
The fees were at the original agenda schedule didn't.
Oh, yeah, sorry, there was some kind of weird glitch that happened there.
Part 3.
So for a new building,
Area would be billable then.
yeah, if you're looking at page 86 of 114, so new building, $1,300 plus $79 per 100 meters squared plus $525 per major occupancy. Off the top of my head, I can't imagine, well,
Development, yeah.
what's that?
It'd be a pretty big development for a
Exactly. And because if you look at our building construction bylaw, our fees for commercial and industrial are all based on the value of construction. These are bigger projects that we're going to be needing help on. So I just feel like we'll be receiving healthy permit fees that will be covered by and not taking over the entire amount. I could provide some good examples if that helps you to see what would be there.
I think I understand where
Yeah.
you're coming from. The only other question I would have is, for the building department fees, like for permits and such, are we giving breaks to any specific, types of land, or like, if for farmland or excess land, are we cheaper in any which way, manner?
Well, if it's, I don't change the cost of the building permit fees. They're all based on the bylaw. If someone wanted to ask for some kind of deal, they would have to approach council for approval, which has happened in the past.
Yeah, I'm just gonna speak to the fact that they're already reduced rate when it comes to their apportionment, or they're at 25% for the balance of the farmland and stuff, so.
Oh, no, it has nothing to do with what they pay in
There
taxes.
was already layers in there, because you were speaking to, you spoke to farmland, there could be different costing or.
Oh,
So I just wanted to make sure that if they're getting cut a deal, it's not falling back on the ratepayers.
well, and that could be something we could discuss. The building bylaw is due for a review. So you're going to see what our fees are going to look like there. We do have lower fees for farm buildings right now. That can be discussed at the time when we review our fees. And we could also make a distinction between like farm buildings for private use versus industrial or commercial. I think that would be a good review.
So, you know, the burden's getting heavier for our residents, and when the tax rates go up, we're eating all of it, and they're getting 25% on their balance of their land, so it kinda, but, I'm not trying to be rude, but taxing the rich to give the poor, or vice versa, however you wanna say it, it's just, it seems like it's giving breaks, so the breaks are already given, in my opinion, so I just want to make sure we were on the same page.
If I may, thank you. No, I believe in user fees. So yeah, I'll just earmark that, that line for when we talk about the new fees, for sure. Yeah.
All right. I do think it's a good idea. However, I was wondering, you already spoke to one municipality, I heard. Two? And did they give you any sort of a report, or was it all just over the phone? Like, if they gave, did they give their feeling on, was this a profitable system to use? Is this something they recommend? Did they give you some documentation, an email or something, itemizing whether or not they recommended this for other municipalities, or? This looks like a promo sheet there, this little thing. So I'm wondering if there's a unbiased evaluation. Like whenever I go shopping for a car, I like to go see the reviews. Is there a review section on this where a municipality's been talked to and asked for their response or their comments?
Yeah, I've spoken with the CBO of North Bay. She has nothing but good things to say about RSM. I've also taken trainings from RSM over the last few years. They're a very professional outfit to work with. The inspectors have years of experience. I don't have any review sheet, but also there's not much to compare it to. It's a very individual. This whole company has really evolved from the difficulty in building departments to keep up with training that's required, especially smaller municipalities. Like if someone came here and said that they want to build a seniors, a long-term care home or a retirement home, I'm sure council would love to have that in the area. I don't have training necessarily that would cover that type of home. So, do I have reviews? No. Do I feel confident in the product? Yes. But it is also only a 2-year agreement if we
At
try
no-
to use
at
it
no
and-
cost, essentially, if we don't use.
No, at no cost if we don't use it. No. So what you'll be seeing next, and just so council knows, is if council supports this, there would be an agreement that gets supplied that would need to be signed by clerk and mayor. And then we would also be appointing some of their inspectors to be inspectors within our municipality, but all under myself as chief building official. So if they do give any advice, they are appointed as inspectors. They have the training to say that they are actually building inspectors. So they're taking on the responsibility for all their decisions as well,
Okay.
if that's helpful.
I would like that, however, have at least a list of 2 or 3 that says multiple municipalities, 2 or 3 municipalities that if we don't receive Zoom, that I could call and just have a little chat and see how they like the service. All right? Last questions?
I just had one comment about the cancellation policy. I don't know, it seems, the first step there is cancellation prior to review. I'm not quite sure which step that's at, but it seems kind of steep if it's cancellation, like, after you've requested assistance, and then, before you've actually reviewed anything, if there's already a cancellation fee, so I don't know what.
Mr. Mayor, our building department doesn't always require payment upfront on all of our building reviews, but we can ask for it. So if this is going to be a project that will require this type of review, we can ask for full payment of the building permit fee, so that we have that covered. Then if we do apply with RSM to say, please do our review, but then all of a sudden the project falls through, we also have a retention of a certain percentage of the fee as well. So another part of our review, especially for building bylaw, is to make sure that, like, we are allowed to keep 25% of that building permit fee if no application goes forward. So we would just change our policy and the way we would do business to make sure that we have the money paid for before we use the project or the system that would cost us money.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you very much. Thank you. Any last questions? None that I see. Thank you very much. Okay, next report, 421, Treasurer's Report, Audit Statement. Anything you wanted to?
No, so now that the financials have been presented to council, this is just a report to pass a resolution to approve the financial statements.
Okay, thank
Short
you.
and sweet.
Nobody have questions, I would assume? All right, can I have, we have a recommended resolution. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the resolution? Councilor Laframboise, Councilor Loftus?
Moved by Councillor Laframboise and seconded by Councillor Loftus. Be it resolved that Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles hereby approves the audited financial statements prepared by KPMG LLP for the year ending December 31, 2024. And be it further resolved that Council hereby receives and accepts the letter prepared by KPMG LLP dated April 1, 2026.
All those in favor? Carried. All right, next, item 4.3.1, report to council helipad. That's yours, Tammy.
Okay, if council will recall, we brought forward the helipad agreement at a previous meeting. And we just kind of set it aside until we had it reviewed by our insurance company. There were a number of items that were requested to be looked into. They've been listed in the report and the answers are there. So has the municipal insurer reviewed and approved the agreement? Yes, they have. Is aviation liability coverage explicitly included in the policy and is it required? So it's not included in the policy, in our policy, and in fact, it's excluded. I've included in the report the exclusion section of our policy where it shows that it is actually an exclusion in our policy. So it is recommended by our broker, And with that being said, we completed the aviation liability application form and got quotes on premiums. So the premiums for 1 million limit, she initially came back with $1,000 deductible. I went back and said, can you give me other premiums with a higher deductible, because our regular deductible on any of our other insurance policy items is 10 million, 10,000, 10 million. I figured in the event that something catastrophic does happen on the helipad, it's gonna be a high cost item.
Yeah.
So I figured a $10,000 deductible is reasonable. So that being said, a $1 million limit at a $10,000 deductible, your premium for the year is $1,580. $5 million limit, $10,000 deductible is $2,100 premium for the year. My recommendation, just knowing that it would be a high value item, should something occur, is to go with the 5 million limit with the $10,000 deductible. There was a question about should indemnity be capped or mutual. Reciprocal indemnity would be reasonable, and in fact, in the next answer, it shows that there is actually mutual indemnity clauses in the agreement. So, and I've included those in the report. Should Orange carry primary liability insurance, naming the municipality? I actually had a discussion with Mr. Dennison from Orange today. He confirmed with me that they do carry their own liability insurance. And he says they often get questions because insurance companies review their agreements, and there are some maybe not so clear items in it, but they do carry their own insurance and would cover all of any of their liabilities. Is $5,000 a year what the amount we get paid from Orange for maintenance? Is that this is the last question, is $5,000 per year sufficient to offset the cost and the risk? The insurer wouldn't comment on that, but that's a question for council. Do you see value in it or not? Like I said, my recommendation is to move forward with aviation insurance. It's better to be covered than to have a catastrophic event happen and be on the hook. So.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions, Councillor Framboise?
None for myself, and I'm in agreement.
Okay, Councillor Loftus.
No, I'm in agreement.
Councillor Potier?
I'm in agreement with going forward with the insurance. However, the Orange agreement is reviewed annually or biannually?
I believe it's every 2 years.
Every 2 years. I don't know if it would hurt to bring this up to them now that we've seeked our own insurance, if we haven't already, but yeah, I'd want to bring that up in the future, just.
Yeah, so through you,
Yeah.
when I did speak with Mr. Dennison today, I did tell him that, you know, our insurance company does have concerns because there aren't explicit terms in your agreement. So when I do send the agreement back, I will be setting that out in a letter saying, you know, you might want to consider beefing up your
Contribution.
Yeah.
terminology.
All right.
Thank you.
Any-
No,
Any
that's-
other
yeah.
questions? Councillor Lachance?
No, I think it was a good discussion we had, and that it's pretty much the outcome that we figured. So we should be. It is a benefit to the residents to have that service. So I think we should also go ahead with the insurance and make sure that we're covered. And if the future agreements can permit a little bit more of a kickback, well, so be it. But
Yeah. All right, thank you very much. So we have the go-ahead. We can proceed with the $5 million insurance with a $10,000 deductible. Next item. Report to council, costing HR support by Denis.
Yes, your worship. So council wanted some costing for review of 4 employment contracts. and the HR 002 policy. So I reached out to 2 local firms in Sudbury. One, HR Works. This particular individual did work for the municipality a few years back, reviewing a HR case that was up, that needed an external HR review. There was, I think, satisfactory results with her performance there. She came back with 4 employment contract. She gave a bit of a range depending if there's back and forth negotiations. So it could range from 29 to 36.25 depending on the amount of hours plus HST. That's her initial estimation. And the policy manual, 2 different ranges. One is tweaking what we have between 1450 and 2320 plus HST, or if you want a comprehensive and bring full review and inclusion of potentially other policies that are not in the policy handbook itself, like working from home and cellular activity, like a bunch of policies. Then it creeps up quite a bit on that one. So that one would be 5800 to 7250. So again, HR Works is between $4,350 and $5,945 for potentially a basic review of the policy and for public contracts. Paradigm FCR, if you were a council members, I was looking at Gallagher to try to get a costing from them, and I was looking at their location. They're situated in the same building, so I don't know if they are Gallagher or subcontractor Gallagher or they're completely separate. Anyways, they do offer HR services, so I had a discussion with the rep there. She gave me a similar breakdown on the HR manual, policy manual, from between 2,000 and 2,500. That was a basic rate, so just slightly more expensive than HR Works. Or their hourly rate, because it's a much bigger firm. So HR Works is a sole proprietor, and FCRM is like an accounting firm with different branches. So a bit sturdier, but they do have a range of salaries. So they range from $145 an hour to $250 an hour, depending on the skills, qualifications. So, and then I just did she did not, by the time I prepared this report, she didn't have time to do a full review costing, but taking the hours, assuming the hours would have been similar for a similar skilled person to do the work, the work would come out to between 29 to 36.25 for the review of the policy. So if you go with Paradigm FCR, I would estimate slightly more expensive, but still in the same ballpark range. And again, they may come out and say you need all the person at $250 an hour. It might be the upper range, might be a bit more, but generally will be between 4,900 to 6,125. And I did leave HR covered because they, after they call back saying, unfortunately, we want to look at a different type of model, they did put out that they would be willing, they do everything online. And I think they are trying to promote that they have access to HR lawyers. So, and they'd be willing to get the account to do a one-time exception to talk to council via web at a council meeting. But depending how deep you go, you may, because this is right now at the beginning, I don't know if you're going to have to wait too much to get this lawyer to come at a council meeting. It seems a better deal, but I don't know, it's a bit harder than having somebody in Sudbury working on this unique case, or somebody getting in the queue to schedule. So I just put it as an option because it does provide 2 years. Yes, obviously it's more expensive, but you would be talking to an HR lawyer, and I think I didn't put the lawyers there. So That's the only reason I left it there, is because they do have lawyers on staff rather than just, the certified professional HR. Like they went to university, specialize in HR, and are certified, to their, it's not an association, but, that they're qualified HR specialists, so. That's why I left it there, as an option, and it's, the council would provide direction on which one that they would prefer to go with, or alternatively, seek, more costing. I can reach out to legal firms, which I did not, I just
Okay.
stuck to HR.
All right. Any comments as far as next step? Do we have the one that we seem to like, or do we want to keep looking? Councilor Framboise.
So just looking at option one, so we're obviously looking at the comprehensive amount, pretty much, right? For the
Yeah.
option one, it would be probably the comprehensive. I think this
Which
higher,
For the manual,
one.
having the
Yeah,
full
sorry, the
manual
manual.
review.
Oh, yes,
so it would
yes.
probably be the higher amount.
Yeah, and it's like everything else. If we add questions, the price goes up. If it's a simple, this was what it is, okay, then you may get cheaper. It's because it may get complicated, or it may just be smooth sailing. So fortunately with consultants, it's an hourly rate, so an estimate is an estimate is an estimate.
I do like option one, like reading up on it and stuff for myself.
Okay. Councilor Loftus.
Yeah. If I have to go with one, I would go with option one.
All right. Councilor Potier.
I'm a little, the cost of one or two can kind of
Very-
balloon quite a bit depending on what you're trying to accomplish. The flat rate of HR covered becomes a lot less if you start looking at the comprehensive policy review of option one, and I'm sure a comprehensive policy review from Paradigm would probably be fairly similar, because they talked about a policy manual, but I'm not sure what if that was just HR 002 policy, I think, review.
So yeah, that is the
Yeah.
one that basically.
Just the one.
Carbon copy of the issue from that we were following prior to
Yeah,
that.
and if they did like the full comprehensive, I guess, again, it would probably be in the similar range of hours as HR works, but, yeah.
HR covered, it's fully online. Can you speak to people?
It's
Or is it-
Teams, or I think they prefer Teams or Google Meet there.
Okay.
Yes, and basically you call them up, you talk to the person, get advice. It's a flat fee. Usually they bank on, you won't have, after you settle your issues, you won't be calling them for another 6 months.
No.
A lot of their stuff, and a lot of everyone's stuff is,
Maintenance.
it's maintenance. They have a standard flat document. They make tweaks to them, so it's not like they're creating a new document for us. They say, this is a standard employment agreement, this is your variations, and they try to not do variation. This is the standard agreement. And this is if you are remunerated in such a fashion, it's a one-liner. The rest is standard, like if you're dismissed, if you're whatever policies, it's all ESA related.
Okay. Sorry for interrupting.
No, all good. I don't know. And I'm sure HR works in Paradigm. I'm sure they'd be able to communicate through Teams as well, or in person, or calling. So that's the in-person part is where they may excel. But it's whether or not do you really need in person. I don't know. I'm kind of in favor of the HR covered route. It's a flat rate, and we can kind of say after 2 years. Well, we have a deadline. We have to accomplish everything within the 2-year time period, and then from then is where I think, the municipality could shift towards if still needed, move towards a hourly type agreement, right? I'm kind of on HR covered just because of the fact that they also have the other stipulation of they'd be able to get, they have legal representation as well, right? Like, or lawyer assistance, so, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
Councillor Chance.
Yeah, like, on the note of the legal assistance, like we already spoke, we already got our opinion on that.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, unlimited HR advice, unlimited custom documents, like that's kind of where we're lacking, as far as we learned a lesson that we can't develop our own. If you look at the bottom of HR cover, it shows the premium service for the $14,250 for 24 months for 2 years, unlimited HR advice, unlimited custom documents, training courses, employee absence tracker. Like there are a lot of neat, beneficial things in my opinion there. Again, we've kind of.
is it only 1 year, sorry? Can we do only 1 year, or?
It's 2 years.
It's 2 years, okay.
It's 2 years.
Yeah, that's a
But
tough
again,
one.
we are creating, we gotta think too that we are potentially creating another position in the coming months. So there will be documentation for that, and we've learned our lesson. I think we've learned our lesson through the findings with the lawyer and stuff about not being able to develop our own policies for our own, within people that are doing that, staff for themselves and stuff. So we can't, like, we gotta be careful. So we know we're gonna be having to go and get more policies made and hire on packages, or how would you say, offers of employment and such. So that, to me, when it says unlimited custom documents, I believe that falls into there.
Yes.
So your worship. So there's one thing HR covered, I asked specifically how do you deal with unionized membership? Their specialty is with the ESA, and they will not comment other than, is it compliant to ESA? They will answer general legal questions, is if it's written this way, does it mean that? But in terms of negotiating with the union or making sure language, they will not touch that.
Well, no, but the union isn't where we need.
Yeah, I
The
know.
union develops their own, we're talking about the non-union staff.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
this is
okay,
where
so
we
I
need-
thought the additional staff, sorry.
No, sorry, maybe I'm not good, like, the union negotiations to do with the union, right?
Oh,
Yeah, exactly, like the EDO.
I was thinking.
Okay, yeah, no, so that's where I am, and again, like, unless they're, like, to me, when it says unlimited custom documentation and such, it's not really, saying, we're not gonna, if you want a policy drafted, we'll draft a policy for HR reasons. If you wanna have an offer of employment drafted, they'll do it. We'll give them pretty much the baseline. They'll come to us with something filled out with their stamp of approval on it. Right. And then if someone ever says, well, who drafted this? Well, we had our consultant draft it. It wasn't done in-house, right? So I think it kind of covers a lot of bases that of previous concerns. But again, it is a 2-year commitment. But as soon as you go to add any other requests for services with the other 2, you're gonna get the hourly rate again. It's just gonna go up and up and up and up. So I think option 3 for myself.
Well, okay, so when I'm looking at it, I see the benefits of both. I see the benefit, especially of HR works for the 4 employee contracts that exist, that we want to make sure that are corrected properly from where they are to where they should be. And I think that's where we need more hand-holding than somebody on the in. Once those 4 contracts are done, and like I see this as being follow-up, as a maintenance package, like for the HR cover, for, as you had stated, okay, we get somebody new, something happens, but in my view, for converting the 4 contracts we have from where they are to where they should be, I think we need more of a personalized approach. So for that component, which is for employment contracts, especially that section. After that section is done, if we want to, instead of spending $7,200 for the comprehensive policy manuals, convert to HR covered. I see that as an option, but for the first component, which is the 4 employee contracts, I think HR Works would be better for us, because it is a big step for us right now. And I know that it's a dollars and cents also, and it's a amount of time that we want to have the coverage. Here, there is a one-shot deal. They give you the hand, and then off you go. That's why I think that first component, I think we should stay with HR Works. Yes.
I don't disagree with you, I just wanna reiterate that the way the offers of appointments were made and then the creation of the HR 002 policy, after the fact, they all go hand in hand, so you can't do the contracts without doing the policy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to do both, no matter what.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But I still, if that's the decision that after the conversation with HR Works that happens, I still think that because it's been, it hasn't been done using an HR rep in the past, I still think having somebody, a one-on-one person, as opposed to an online where, I don't know how many firms they're dealing with. Like HR Works, they're probably dealing with more firms also, but I see more of
Value there.
a personalized approach with them, just to get us over this hump. After the hump, but I see what you're saying.
No, I agree with what your approach too. It's,
Yeah.
There's no wrong approach, it's just,
Did they give a timeline of how soon they can get this dealt with? Because that's another big,
All 3 of them, I said June as the max, as assuming June as the max there. All were well within that.
Okay. All right. So, unless somebody wants to change their opinion, I think we would go with HR Works. So we're all good?
I've never really dealt with, I know everything's being done, like you said, lots of times via Zoom, but this is a big,
It's a big, and
yeah.
that's where I think
I
we,
get what both councils are saying about the premium, like I didn't really look at that.
Yeah.
And I do get that we do need policies change and stuff, so are we gonna pay double if,
we're maybe paying more, but I think we get more value for the dollar.
If we're going with HR Works for the first part and then saying we wanna move on to HR covered, I don't think that's really
a big
valid.
deal?
No, I think it's,
I don't think we would go like the next day.
no,
I'm
but
not
I
saying
mean,
that.
even down the road, I mean, the point of going with that premium off the hop is that there's a lot of homework to get done, and it's a matter of getting it done within a 2-year period, which I think is something that's doable.
Yeah. But again,
It's a
I can't
substantial
see that.
jump.
HR covered, it's more, we do the work, we keep
Mhm.
asking, we keep asking.
Well, you're still gonna get that with any of them, right? The difference is HR covered, I mean, if you're wasting their time by not answering quick enough on stuff, they're not billing you an hourly rate. You're paying a flat rate. Like if the staff are preoccupied, with an audit or grants or this and that, and they can't get back to you like right away all the time, I'm sure HR Works or Paradigm, who are billing hourly, every time you have to revive something, they have to get back into it, so it's gonna cost more. I mean, we're a small municipality who
Yep.
already have, I think, not enough time to be able to handle HR matters as much as they'd like to. That you're still gonna have to handle it, not as much, but yeah.
And like the other benefit to that is, and I understand HR is a role of one employee, but at least this way here, when they have to make a tough decision, they can say, well, we spoke to our HR consultant, and this is what our route. It's not saying that it's a place to pass the buck, but it definitely is a little bit more of a place to lean and help make some sort of decisions if need be.
Yeah. And right now, this, we ask for big, transaction, like it's a big thing to redo 4 contracts, do redo. But afterwards, maybe if we do, like you said, it's maybe not worth going to another, company afterwards. So maybe if it's just a little addition or something, maybe the, HR Works are gonna be able to handle it. That hasn't been questioned, I'm sure, but I still, in my opinion, think HR Works would be the one to go with, to start with. Are we good?
I'm iffy because of the amount. If you look at the
Yeah.
amount, it's 7,100
Per year.
for 2 years.
No, per year,
For
so,
this one, the HR covered, right? And then
So
it
it's-
does add, like you said, I didn't see that little, the premium here. Right?
Yeah.
It covers
the
everything.
included services, yeah, that's all
Yeah.
for 2 years.
cause it's not limited to
it's-
only
And
the
then
4
the other one is
contracts that we need
72.
fixed
But it's 14,000.
for
But
2 years.
I'm just, again, we have one more contract that most likely is gonna have to get developed also, right? And that's not in that price. So you're gonna add $1,000 or $2,000 there.
Yeah.
But they're saying in, like, this should be done by June?
Yes, all 3 of them, they said, yeah, that would, this 4 contracts,
So that
unless,
would be for the policy manual and the contracts, or just the contracts?
they said the policy manual, but, it's like everything else, if we start changing a lot, the hours put in and the time, but everything is a standard, and they just modify from the standard. They try to stick to the standard of a policy manual, like if you have 15-minute breaks, well, there's standard language.
One is 7,000 per 2 years, so it's 14,000. And up here, we're talking about maybe 10,000.
For 2 years.
And then it's done.
And plus, right?
Well, they're all plus.
It's just
No,
because,
except for,
Except
Yeah.
for HR covered.
yeah.
So,
Do you- Is there a spot that you think you'd want us to go with?
Like between, like, where no one's talking about Paradigm, so between the two, for HR Works and HR Covered, what,
so there's the HR covered, there's a 30-day money back guarantee. So if you wanna test out the waters, that could be easy. We sign tomorrow, we sign, and then the day after, they present to council, and then you can see their worth as a service. It is $14,000 upfront, so you really have to test it out within those 30 days. As I spoke to HR Works, she says, yeah, I get all the ones that went to HR Covered, and they all come back to me because there's all kinds of hidden fees or on service, and I'm looking at, unless I am missing something completely from HR Covered, it's been repeated to me, it's a flat fee, and as you can see, I didn't even copy paste, I printed screen of the premium service, what's included, so I just didn't wanna make a mistake. Because unlimited HR support means unlimited HR support for $7,000 a year. Will you be using it at a level of $7,000 every year? That's what they hope. You're hooked in for life at $7,000. There's blips, ups and downs. There's maybe one temporary contract that you can take a standard off the shelf, write a new name on it, and don't change it. Because we are offering, it's just that sometimes council does ban and change the terminology
okay,
or benefits.
between the two, which of the two do you think would work best? Because you are the person that will be working with them.
To resolve,
And I know, like,
that may require in-person talking is the first one. It's because it's the negotiation, and I don't know if
with
the
HR
correct
Works,
thing-
you mean?
The HR Works, that's the third party that may have to be sitting in the room to discuss. Whether it's conflict or it's perception, you may want that third party, independent person to negotiate.
Because you've worked with them before. Is
No,
it
I-
with HR Works?
Yes,
Yeah,
but
heard
it's
before.
it's a third independent party where online, they will give you the advice, and it's either council or myself that would be sitting down with whichever staff. Like, they wouldn't be sitting in the room on the online meeting, okay, we're gonna be discussing this contract. That's not what they do. They provide, here's your document, you go work. The advantage which HR works, you can say, Jody, please go and discuss this with employee X. That's the probably the difference. Yes, Jody would be at $145 an hour. But that's a different service that you would not get from HR Works. HR Works will say, we validated. We have
HR
legal-
Works?
Sorry, HR Covered will give
Yeah.
you a fully legally reviewed document. Say, here you go implement it, and then you have to sit down and negotiate. If there's negotiation, they don't negotiate for the web, they will give you advice. That's probably the only thing I can see why
And
the
that-
difference is, and it's.
And that's the reason why I think the HR Works, especially to start with, they're in there with us trying to resolve it as opposed to sending us emails.
And that's, far as can see, is either one is providing you advice, the other one is providing you a service. And I do think that's my
Yeah.
understanding.
The thing that I like about it is that our CAO has worked with HR Works before. So, and it's turned out well for the municipality, so based on his experience,
Yeah.
I would tend to like to try
And
option one.
in the end, the value, I know we're looking at, this one is gonna be valid for 2 years.
Which
But
one
once,
did you-
once
But
the
at
big,
double the price.
well, no, they're a little bit more, by maybe,
HR
3,000. But, and it's gonna be there for 2 years, but after we get this hump done, there's gonna be little tweaks, but I still think they're comparable in cost.
2 years ago in the budget, you had $5,900 down for HR assistance. Was that through HR Covered? Is that,
HR Covered took over the
I
HR.
know we shot it down there, but.
Yeah, that one, it was they were bought out by HR Covered. So right now online, you have an HR Bright and HR Covered. But HR Covered is the one that, it's another HR something, I can't remember the name. They basically bought out and merged together to become HR Covered. And HR Bright is the other big one, if you do HR services online, Peninsula and all that fun stuff, it's all HR Bright. Like, I phoned a company in Sudbury, and it says, oh yeah, and then we do provide this platform of HR Bright, go on here. It's
It's HR Bright, yeah.
it's HR Bright.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, those, it's same firm, different name.
Yeah. One last turn around the table and that's it.
Number one for myself.
Okay.
Option one for myself.
Councilor Patil?
Yeah, I think I'll stick with option one there. I mean, at the end of the day, if we feel, if council at the time feels strongly that we need, different representation or something during, any contracts and stuff, well, we can do that at that time, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
It'll raise the cost then, but I mean, at the end of the day, if we have a slightly higher cost for 1 year services and everything's cleaned up within 1 year, we're not locked in for 2 years, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, we've already got the legal opinion. And
Yeah,
at the end of the
that's-
day, like,
that's
you-
done.
You can't stray from that, so
Yeah.
no matter what, it was paid for and we know what kind of,
Okay.
what we have to follow. And going forward, if council next year chooses to agree with the CEO's decision to go with, assistance for HR, well, I think
Yeah.
we see that value now.
All right. So we're gonna be moving ahead with HR Works. All right? Thank you very
Covered.
much. Pardon?
Covered?
HR down, was HR download.
Works.
Download, yeah, I remember 15, I remember
It's
15,
great.
I remember that.
Okay,
Deal now, eh?
are we good?
Yes and no. You still would have to pay the legal fees. because
All right,
HR workers
next.
are not lawyers, right? So.
Next item, 4.2, 4.4.2, new category and fitness center fee schedule. Denny?
Yes, your worship. So we had a client that wanted a possibility for discount for youth. We added the under 16 and then we dropped the age down to 9, and there was it was always the deal is part of the family package, and if the family member doesn't want to go, then it's not a deal. So so she was requesting that it could be a considered rate for youth, and trying to encourage you to participate. In discussion with the treasurer, we already 2 weeks ago, while on Facebook, they were recommending gyms and said, hey, the one in St. Charles is the best one and the cheapest rate around. Well, we'll be going to be reviewing the fees in the future, but I think there's no category for youth, so 20%, maybe 25, we're already a good rate. So, but to encourage youth to be exercised, I would encourage council to consider a youth category, 9 to 15, 20%, 25. And that same family member said, well, what if I don't want to go to the gym, and I want to send grandma with a grandson to the gym or granddaughter. Can they just be a adult companion because they have to be accompanied? But there's nowhere there that we can give them access. So to create an adult supervisor category, and the only fee would be to register their name and to get a fob. And I say a one-time fee of $10. The fob costs roughly $1, a couple dollars for staff time and for management. A $10 fee is well paid, and then that would access get grandma, grandpa, or friend of the family to be able to go there and supervise the children. There's always a risk that they'll pick up PC equipment, but they'll have to sign off, and we give out fobs. People can, like, we have an honor system, and everyone is respectful.
Good, yeah.
So, and the other members do tend once in a while to say, well, there was a few people there, and then we check the activation. They were all members. And we're good. So we go on the honor system. It's been working well, and this would be in addition to the gym.
Okay. Comments?
So I'm in agreement with 20%, so you're saying 20 to 25?
Yeah, it was just a range, because I was looking a bit more, and then we figured out the rates is getting pretty cheap, especially if you take a year membership. It comes out fairly cheap as a membership. And if you look at our current setup, the family rate, so the first member $30, 25 for the second member, 15 for the third member, and $10 for the fourth member. So a couple adults, couple kids. You can figure where we're doing the 20%. It's like, it's still basically the second member of the family. It's not even that great of a deal considered to the family membership, and that's still the best rate going. They would not be issued a fob to, that would be the other condition. And they would, it can't have, like, the 15-year-old can't have the 16-year-old as a, so there's a few rules that I've been trying to think of to just not get the 15 and 16-year-old to go there. We had reports of some of them hanging upside down on one of the pieces of equipment. But they were not kids, that's the issue.
Okay.
So one of those things, yeah, it's 20.
I'm good with
You're good with
20%.
20%?
But
Okay.
the, I just wanna make sure, or, I know you're saying that the adult, that would be paying the fob for the $10 fee. I just wanna make sure that it's attached to, I know you're saying it, but I'm just getting complaints that people are like, how can I say this, word this, are people using the gym just to shower? And not using the facilities? Because I've heard complaints about that.
That's part of your rights as a user of the facility, right?
But are they paying the full fee, or is it just a fob thing? I just wanna make sure.
No.
Okay,
no.
so it's the first time that you would
You
bring
would
this
not
up?
be allowed a $10 fee without a youth,
Okay,
and that would basically,
so
Not-
anyone that has a fob has paid for,
and they
some
may just
sort
go
of,
there
okay,
for, unfortunately,
just wanna
maybe.
make sure.
Shh.
Okay,
facilities.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so you're good, 20%? Okay,
Yeah, I'm
Councilor
good.
Loftus,
Yeah, I'm good for the 20%.
Councilor Patia?
Yeah, I'm okay with 20% and the fob fee. I think the 20% was I mean, understandable because they also have access to less equipment, I believe, right? So, yeah, technically, yeah.
Okay. Councilor Lachance?
I'm kind of, I don't disagree with it, I just kind of, again, I always have a spin. I was wondering if it was something that we could tie to, we already have our qualified organizations to the municipality, like that qualify for reductions in rent for our facilities. What if that discount was applied to members of those subject organizations or those partners?
Such as?
Like minor hockey has it, the Lions Club, I think, we're on our qualified organizations now.
Okay.
The school, so it kind of encompasses all of that in the same thing, where you don't have to just put it down as youth.
Kind of opens it might open the, because this is one person that's coming that wants a discount for their family, so it's not gonna get out there, but if you go to the school and say, hey, like for youth aged here to here, because they're part of you're part of our municipal organizations, minor hockey, whatever, then it'll be advertisement too to get more people out to the gym and using our facilities.
So would, sorry to,
No, go ahead.
thinking, would it be like a third category of volunteer recognition or a community leaders recognition award, where if you qualify, you're part of an association, you would qualify for 10%?
Yeah, what do we give reduction, 15% to our qualified organizations for facility rentals?
Well,
Something like that? It's 10?
and I just kind of comment on those stipulations too, I think, right? So the events that they were receiving the discount for had to fit the criteria as well, technically, in a certain sense, right? Like, I believe-
Not for the first 10%, the one we were talking about, the bigger one.
if they're a qualifying organization, they can't just rent the hall and host a private event of their own.
No, but
Like-
for their
For their
We're talking
association?
about the public, a significant public event is different, right?
Yeah, it's a bona fide activity of the association. And
yeah, it's gotta be an association.
Minor hockey rents the hall to do a fundraiser, you would qualify for 10%.
Yeah, I was trying to think, I thought it was like, yes, it has to be for the organization. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at, is like, it's for the organization and for the public. It's not like,
Not necessarily for the public.
yeah.
The one we were talking about for the public would be another one where we'd offer maybe a beneficial rate above the 10%. I think a number of 50% was batted around, where it's a
Oh.
public event that they're hosting, inviting everybody from a municipality to come in, and they're offering a service or
That was for like a significant municipal.
Yeah.
the municipal events are, they don't pay the hall.
Yeah, exactly. So what,
So that's another level.
Yeah, okay.
Who are the other organizations that are qualified organizations listed?
The church,
Yeah?
like,
School?
and the school, the school, bowling.
Minor hockey and bowling?
Yeah, almost every
so
organization.
yeah, and most of those, aside from arguably the church, most of those organizations do relate to physical activity in one way or another. So I don't know, it'd just be like, again, an opportunity to increase our numbers there.
Yeah.
But then
But
when
I-
you have a player that doesn't play for Turbos and plays for French River because there's no team, how do we justify
But
that?
I think
Come back to
we've
this.
already been stated as being the cheapest around.
Yeah,
And so if we give a discount to everybody, well, we're even
cheaper.
making it cheaper.
I don't think it should apply to like maybe, like, I guess
There's
that's
no
hard
team
to,
here, right? Like,
that's hard to
how are you
gauge.
gonna
Well, no,
just-
but I would say, that's what I mean, though, I don't think it should apply to everybody beneath that umbrella, in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Like the organizers is one thing, but like, say the Lions host events, like, say the Lions would get that discount, it applies to the Lions Club, but not anybody, not just everybody who
Just,
is a
just to
weekend
let you know
volunteer.
that the Lions Club, they're
Everybody?
all in the seniors. They're
Oh.
not jumping around on, anyhow. But there is a few that are pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
That's still spry and,
I was gonna suggest to council, because the treasurer is going to be moving
Okay.
forward
Yeah.
with a fee review,
Okay.
that now we know have sort of an inclination that council may be wanting to reward, like the Firemen's Association, well, the fire they always get in, minor hockey, bowling, the school, the OPP, the soccer league, the planning board, the special events committee, library board, curling club, minor ball, St. Charles Parish, seniors club, Sarbreeze Economic Development Corporation, Warren Brothers Lions Club.
I
Which
think
is-
we should offer them 10%, but raise the price first by 10%.
Yes, and that, I think that's why we should do it at a fee review.
Yeah.
So anybody external, and then a little reward for the community leaders and participants to come and join the gym.
Okay,
And,
but
yes, we raise
that's
the
gonna be
rates
at
at
the fee review.
so
Okay,
we have a bit of a direction, so we'll.
but now for just this one person, or this one
Age group,
Category.
20,
20%, we're good?
Yeah.
Cause they're not using the whole.
Again,
gym.
it's one person that they just keep coming back for more and more and more and more, so like, to me, I'm no. That was quite like, simple.
yeah, I was just, they have access to
It's not hard.
probably what, 40% less gym equipment, 50% less gym equipment?
And so I think the consensus is 20% and maybe one fob, but maybe have 2 or 3 adults that can share the fob.
Are attached to it.
If they're attached to.
Yeah,
the
but that's
paperwork.
it, not put just the
Dad-
one name,
dad,
have a,
mom,
yeah,
mom.
dad, mom, grandma, or grandpa, whatever, that any one of those 4
Okay,
can come in with the fob, as opposed to giving
at the
4
time of
fobs.
registration, so.
Yeah, don't give 4 fobs, just give the 1 fob, and
Okay.
they can figure it out. Okay, are we good with that? All right, thank you. Next item, 4.43, report local improvement application, Greenwood Drive. Monsieur Denis.
Yes, your worship. I know we've discussed the first application that was presented to council. This one had not been received at the time, but we had discussed it. So for official to being brought to council, this is how the form we received it, signed document. It was a picture of, which I think it's legible and probably acceptable as a document. If council would look at it, he has, it's indicated as road to develop housing for community need and road upgrade, and that's the only thing that I have here for the application. So the application is before council. I did do a bit more research on the process of this. So currently, just to let council know, there's a tender out for the first portion, the application. We are expecting tender results on the 18th of April, and hoping shortly thereafter to bring results to council with a recommendation and potentially the petition, the full signed petition, so we can move
Yeah.
forward to step 2. That is upcoming. I would not recommend proceeding with this. We can go out, get private costing, but not to proceed with any type of project until we settle part 1. And from reading the legislation and asking questions, council can impose what restrictions they wish. That being if we will proceed if it includes sewer system. I know this has been a discussion at council. We don't have very detailed specifications of the requirement. We have a few layouts where there's potential easements, but there's no engineered drawings or numbers. So we could put out a tender, but the tender would be generic, would be to lay out X number of sewer lines and a lift station. It would be very generic. I think if we get a bid, it would probably be outrageous because they have to cover their cost. And it's not an obligation of council to do that. It could be an imposed condition onto the proponent to provide, to move forward. If you go road only, then it's.
To provide what?
To provide sufficient information so we can go out to tender. Like we say, we want a engineer to review drawings and give us specification on the lift station, specification on the types of pipe in the ground.
Okay.
It may not be a full laid out diagram. If you go road only, then that's a simple, straightforward construction. Two culverts and, I don't know, 3/4 of a kilometer of roads to be laid out in the subdivision. Just like council know, the balance of the submission and application has been received, but unfortunately it was after this had closed for council. So things are in the movement, but because of the unknown details or specification of the lift station, if we do put out a tender, I think the road will be accurate, the culvert will be accurate. The sewer line layout might be more difficult to attain, and I don't know how somebody would bid that.
Yeah, okay. That's it? Question, comment?
No, it's pretty much very laid out there.
All
I don't
right.
have any questions.
I have
Councillor
no
Locke?
questions.
Councillor Patsy?
I don't have questions, but I do have maybe some comments about, I know the cost for the previous application, and obviously an application of this magnitude also the cost would be quite high. And I know we had mostly talked about it becoming like a user-based fee or taxation-based fee. Had we done any digging yet into possible grant applications that could support this kind of development? Because, yeah,
So the grant application, we received 100,000 for the generator system for the sewer system. That's that grant.
okay,
So it was applied to a high priority that was due. I looked, it's nothing open right now. Even the one they were talking about, they were targeting the top 10 municipalities in Southern Ontario for housing. But yes, you can apply and get, say, the lift station covered, because the lift station, $1 million blocks that entire subdivision. Because if you do 28 lots divided by $1 million, it's more than what the lot is worth.
Yeah.
Put that lot in Southern Ontario, $1 million seems like going rate. In St. Charles, where the lot is a fraction of what Sudbury is, I think, because I hear the different prices, they're closer to 100,000 over there, and here, we're looking at the market between 40 and 50, maybe 60 with the sewer serviced. So that is also the danger point for council, is if our only collateral is the lot. So if the cost of construction exceeds the value of what we can sell the lot for, then we, as a community, would lose, because our only collateral is if the lot is worth 50,000, it cost us, as you saw with the consultant says, well, it could be $56,000. We're hoping it's going to be below. There's no way we can, no way. Right now, if you put it on the market, 56,000 for that lot, less real estate fees, less taxes, and then the tax sale process, your cost recovery. That's the only caution on this, is you gotta watch, is if it's not feasibly financial, there's no obligation from the council to move forward.
Okay. So, in other words, what I'm hearing is that the lift station, unless it's a grant, makes all of that non-starter, unless we opt to go septic. I know, but I agree. Step one, let's finish the first half. Anyhow, but go ahead, Councillor Lachance. Sorry, or were you finished?
no, I know there's like, I don't remember exactly which grant it was for the lift station. It was,
So the one I apply, it's a Building Faster grant, and the one I did a healthy, safe
CCCB or CCBS?
HSWS. That's health.
Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund? Or,
Uh,
no, Health and Safety Water Street.
Yes,
Yes.
and the previous one to that, we weren't successful. It was the lift station plus fixing the berm plus fixing the fence. After talking with them, they said bring your cost down to qualify. And because we are still 150 houses, they're building subdivisions of 1,000 houses at a time in Southern Ontario, and they are getting $200,000 in a grant. And we were hiring for $250,000 for our little village.
Yeah.
But still, if you price it right, a lift station, 28 new lots, I don't know if you get the $1 million, but it doesn't hurt to try. I just gotta
Yeah.
wait for the next round to come up. Because I really wanted to get the generators in, because otherwise we're burning 150 homes, paying $100,000 for
For the
generators.
lift station, for the generators. Yep, anything
Yeah,
else?
well, just the one, so, yeah, because we got the lift or the generator for that one. The other one that could possibly be looked at is the Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund.
Yeah, there's one coming up.
Yeah, and then at least, I mean, that one, it directly speaks to wastewater systems that could feed lagoons and stuff like that, so. I don't know if we're disqualified from that one for any reason, but.
No, and I say no, that you have to be, I did a bit of research, you have to be project ready.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean you have to be building ready, but, there may be some engineering drawings required to submit an application.
oh,
And then we'll look at it, and I didn't realize you were going to be there, but I did look it up, and I was trying to, we have a little gap here of building an application strong enough to merit moving forward.
Okay,
yeah, actually, I just seen the, different, date deadlines, so unfortunately, I think we're past that one, for the time being anyways. Yeah, the second intake was, start date for the project was no later than September 30th, 2025. So,
Which is the one I think we're,
2025?
yeah,
Starting September.
oh, that's the one we did not get.
yeah, start no later. Well, this is the one I just mentioned, the Housing Enabling,
Because there was one previous to that I
Okay.
applied for.
Yeah.
It was the generators, but plus.
yeah,
And I did get assistance from Aqua on that one, because there was no, it was Aqua. I think one of the yearly report identified the fence at some location is down behind the municipal works garage. They're still secure but if you're in the municipal works yard, you can actually walk across to the lagoon.
No?
It's secure by the fence, so I don't wanna say it's no full access, but unfortunately, that fence is down. There's a part of the burn that needs to be shored up, and so anyways, that one I did apply for also,
Okay.
but I got a
Didn't
no
get
on
it.
that one.
perfect, thank you.
Councillor Lachance?
Yeah, I think the only thing initially that was considered beneficial to having it all kind of looked at once was not having to pay for the installation of the turnaround for the snow removal. But at this point here, with what we'd be looking at, like for interest costs on an adventure or whatnot to put the roads in, I think we'd probably still be farther ahead, just continuing with the first one, putting roundabout in and ripping it out, so.
Yeah.
I think, but we've got the ball rolling on the back half too this way, so.
Yep. Okay, so essentially, we continue with the first half.
So the
and-
condition is we have to move forward the first half, and then as we award the first half, then maybe we can advance this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if, we have to figure out about the designs, if we need to have that before, if we want to stand a chance for any grant applications, and we're not the ones that are gonna take
Yeah,
that responsibility.
And, so I could take the research I did, and because it's not, you don't need full designs, but you need specifications, and it's like, I just can't say we need a 25 horsepower pump sitting at 30 feet deep at that lift station. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not my skill,
Okay.
nowhere near.
All right, any other questions or requirements from
Not right
from
now,
us? No?
but we will be moving forward, but we will wait for results of point.
Okay, we're good. All right, next, mover and a seconder to go into close. Councillor Lachance, Councillor Potier.
Moved by Councillor Lachance and seconded by Councillor Petier. Be it resolved that Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles hereby opens a closed session at 7:44 PM to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees as authorized under section 239 bracket 2 bracket B of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended. Topic, union negotiations update. Next, labor relations or employee negotiations as authorized under section 239 bracket 2 bracket D of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended. Topic, union negotiation update.
All those in favor? Carried. Two more little things, two for me.
So we are back, recording.
Okay. Can I have a mover and a seconder to reconvene? Councillor Loftus, Councillor Lachance?
Moved by Councillor Loftus and seconded by Councillor Lachance. Be it resolved that having dealt with all matters pertaining to the closed session, we hereby reconvene to the committee of the whole at 9:31 PM.
All those in favor? Carried. Direction was given to staff regarding union negotiation. Next, can I have a mover and a seconder to adjourn? Councillor Potier, Councillor Loftus.
Moved by Councillor Potier and seconded by Councillor Loftus. Be it resolved that the Committee of the Whole of April 1, 2026 be adjourned at 9:32 PM.
All those in favor? Carried. Meeting is adjourned. Oh, is Fan Groot